Alright, so we're gonna learn how to master the caged system like a beast. Here's what you gotta know about the caged system. When we're talking about the caged system, we're talking about the chord C-A-G-E-D. That spells caged. Now the thing about these chords is you can use these chord shapes and pretty much slide down the neck and make any major chord you want with these chord shapes. They are movable chord shapes. Alright, now we already know, supposedly, you should already be familiar with E and A. For example, if I have E here, but if I slide it down a fret and then bar on the first fret, that's F. G, A flat, and so on and so forth. This should be what you might already know. The same thing with A. We have our A on the second fret. If we bar on the second fret and hold on the fourth fret, we have our B. Slide it down, C, so on and so forth. These two you should already know. However, we can do the same thing with D. First off, we have our D here. Now we can just slide it, E flat, E, F, so on and so on. However, what you might not know is you can actually make a bar chord out of the D. We're gonna do that now. So we're just gonna make an A on the second fret, like we typically do. And we're gonna take our middle finger and hold on the B string on the third fret, and then take our ring finger on the D string of the fourth fret. Now we have the bar D chord. Lift it off, A, put it back on, D. Now we can slide this like before to make the E flat, E, and so on and so forth. We can do this because the notes that we are holding are the same notes that make up a D major chord. We're just holding them in different positions. So that is D, A, and E. Now for the C and G, it's a little complicated, but hang on. Now we know the C here, obviously. Now, if we slide this down 2 frets, it becomes a D. Now obviously, if you just strum it like this, that's kind of a chord, but it doesn't sound like a D chord. This is where a lot of times you see people use capos to capo on the second fret and then make your C. That means that they're actually playing in D, even though the chord looks like a C. Now, theoretically, you can do this with your index finger. Let me show you. I would not recommend it, but just for practical purposes. It can be done, but I would not recommend it. The same thing with G. We have our G here, and slide it down 2 frets. That is technically an A, but of course if you strum all the strings, it doesn't sound like an A. But we are holding down the notes that make up an A chord. So with chords like these, the C and the G, don't think of the entire chord. Think of just the root and the third, what we have C and E here, sliding down, and we're just using those 2 strings. You get a section of our chord. The same thing with G. We have G, and we have the third, B. This is really used a lot in rhythm and blues and chord melody and things of that nature. These are the essentials of the caged system. Now, you can do the same thing with D, A, and E minor. We have our E minor here, but we move the chord shape, and it's an F sharp minor, and so on. Same thing with A minor. We have our A minor. We're going to make it for our middle finger instead of the index, so it's easy for us to slide. And we're sliding the chord shape. Here, it's C minor. Now notice that I'm saying chord shape, because the shape of the chord is the same. It is still an A minor chord shape, but the chord itself has changed to whatever we're sliding down the fret on. Right now, it is a C minor, but it has an A minor shape. The same thing with D minor, E minor, F minor. And the reason we can, it's important to do this is because with these chord shapes sliding down, it's easy for us to kind of lift up off that shape and do some pentatonic licks and just constantly hammer on and off. That's what you see Keith Richards do a whole lot. You know, he does the D shape and kind of... That's all he's doing, hammering on from an A shape to a D shape. All right, enough. That is the caged system. You have pretty much mastered it. Whew.